Channel 5 Network. This is Open Line.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Open Line. Good show tonight. We're talking about one of the issues that is getting a lot of attention here in Nashville. We're talking about the soccer stadium deal and the fairgrounds. Certainly getting a lot of attention. We've seen letters back and forth between the mayor and the owner of the new soccer team, concerned that major demolition hasn't even started out there at the fairgrounds. We have with us tonight two people with Save Our Fairgrounds, the president and an attorney with that organization. They've been here before. Happy to have you, Duane Dominy.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. You are the president of Save Our Fairgrounds, and Jim Roberts, an attorney with Save Our Fairgrounds. Thank you. You obviously both do not agree with the soccer stadium going out there.
Correct.
You're involved in a lawsuit, a couple of lawsuits.
Two lawsuits, actually.
Two lawsuits to stop it. What do you think about the back and forth that you saw this week or this past week between Mayor Cooper and the owners of the soccer stadium, basically saying they're concerned that demolition hadn't started? What do you think about the back and forth that we've seen?
Our gut feeling is that this is desperation. Quite simply, they understand that this deal is falling apart, that it's unraveling, that the crooked, dishonest parts of it are being exposed, and they're worried about what's going to happen in court. We have been litigating, trying to expose this deal to the people of the city, and it's all coming out. And so to me, it's not a surprise that we had a major hearing last week, and we had affidavits filed from Congressman John Rose and people involved in the Tennessee State Fair Commission. A lot of evidence got presented to the court, and Metro has no way of contradicting that. So they decided to go to the public opinion. And so
when you say they, who do you mean they?
Well, I think it's MLS Soccer, obviously, is behind every bit of it. They want to do a publicity campaign and try to run over the people like they've been trying to do for the last 18 months.
For example, the soccer promoters hired 3 PR firms to lobby the council and the public on this proposal. They've invested a lot in the giveaway that they would be receiving. Considering they make $15 million a month on the proposal, if it goes forward, they can afford to invest a little bit.
Mayor Cooper seems to be saying he wants more money. He seems to be saying the deal, he was supportive of it in the campaign, as I understand, but he's saying now he wants to renegotiate this, get a little more money. The owners have come back and said we're gonna give some more money. They've made some concessions. What do you think about that? That they've made concessions?
What Mayor Cooper, when he was campaigning, he said that soccer needs to be successful in the city of Nashville, and I agree with that 100%.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The problem is, at the fairgrounds, it's a violation of the charter. That's the problem. Now, he didn't come out and say soccer had to be successful at the fairgrounds property. He had said soccer has to be successful in Nashville, and I wholeheartedly support that. And I would love to agree, shake hands, and agree with Mr. Ingram and the mayor that we want to build soccer and make sure it's successful in the city of Nashville, but not on the fairgrounds property, because it is the only property in the city that has consistently made a profit. It's the only property in the city that is protected by the Metro Charter for specific uses, and had a countywide referendum receiving almost 72% of the vote.
So do you think that means the mayor is not going to allow soccer to be built at the fairgrounds?
Well, we would never speak for the mayor, let's be honest.
We can't do that.
I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to try to do that. But I do know that Mayor Cooper knows that this is a bad deal for the people of Nashville. The fact that they were willing to come up with $59 million, I believe, and incentives, money that they're willing now to put up, tells you how bad this deal is. That the soccer franchise folks are going to put another $60 million basically on the table. Tells you that they were going to make a fortune off of this at the city's expense. I mean, if this was such a good idea, then Nashville should buy the franchise. If it's such a good idea, then Nashville should build the stadium and we should have our own team instead of having this giveaway that's going to impoverish this city. I mean, they haven't really given us anything. I've heard a lot of this lately about what MLS and what the team is going to committed to Nashville. They've committed nothing to Nashville. What they've committed is to give a franchise to a billionaire investment group who may or may not keep the team here. But they've committed nothing to Nashville.
In fact, you're saying this is a bad deal for the city.
Absolutely.
If it were a great deal for the city, let's say this were the best deal ever for the city, they're going to give the city tons of money, you would still oppose it because it's at the fairgrounds.
It can't be at the fairgrounds. Please understand that the law is what the law is, and the metropolitan government has to follow the law, and that fairgrounds has a specific purpose. In 1923, the legislature passed an act that said this is what we're going to use this property for. That's what the legislature said, and until the legislature changes its mind, that's what the property is to be used for. It's to educate the people of this county and the Middle Tennessee, and it's to do it by having a fair. It's not to have a soccer stadium. It's not to have a mixed use with child care facilities and apartments and hotel rooms. Those may be wonderful things, and they need to be somewhere else.
Can you have a property that has a fairgrounds and a soccer stadium? Can you do both?
If they had enough land, if you look at their own proposal where they intend to put the soccer stadium, the mixed-use development, the lot or parcel 8C, as they've talked about in these letters, there is no place on the property with what they intend to do to host a fair. None. Now they've said, oh, we can put the fair in the middle of the racetrack. Well, no, you can't, because that's a floodplain. We can put the fair down where they built the dog park and the recreational soccer fields. No, you can't. That's in the floodway. Are they going to let the fair midway be put in the soccer field? Begin with, it's not big enough. And two, they're not going to let that happen in the middle of their season for 2 weeks, because it would destroy their field. The fact is, there is no place to host a fair, and as such, it is a violation of the charter. The charter is.
Then how do you account for the fact it passed the Metro Council?
That's it. Well, begin with Metro. I brought up the particulars of Article 2, Sections 8 and 10 of the Metro Charter to legal staff and to council members, and the council legal staff said, "Oh no, we don't have to host a fair anymore because the state's taken over that." Well, what they've now admitted in court documents is that they have a duty to host a divisional fair. But they told the council before they voted they didn't have that duty anymore. They've now admitted otherwise. So the fact is, the council voted based on advice from Metro Legal that utterly ignored the language of the charter and the language of the sponsor of the bill that passed the bill that they based that false recommendation on, in violation of that. But that gets in a lot of weeds, but it's legislative intent and what the sponsor of the bill actually said on the floor of the House.
And understand also that this has been a lawsuit. We've deposed certain people. We've deposed a member of the Fair Board. We've deposed the executive director of the Fairgrounds. What we've found repeatedly is that those people almost know nothing, that Metro Legal is handing them documents and telling them to sign it. The level, or I should say the lack of knowledge of what's going on is really sort of appalling and scary. They don't care. I mean, it's pretty clear to me that they will just run right over the Metro Charter without any consideration unless someone stops them. And we're the people stopping them. And they know they're doing wrong. The fact that they can't come out and affirmatively say, no one from Metro will come out and say, this is a good deal. No one will come out and say, this doesn't violate the charter because of X, Y, and Z. What they do is send out Metro Legal repeatedly to just say it. And if we'll not get in the weeds, as Duane would say, pleading after pleading after pleading in this litigation, lots of paperwork back and forth. Metro never admits to anything. They just say, the Metro Council approved it, it must be okay. Well, that's not how it works. Any more than the Congress can pass a law and just ignore the Constitution of the United States. The Metro Council's similarly constrained, and they just don't care. And they're not going to care until we have our day in court. And this litigation may go on 2 or 3 years.
The mayor seems to be saying he's concerned that it is a bad deal. You all are saying it's a bad deal. But then again, to that point, that if it were a great deal, if they did pony up a lot more money or give back something, you're saying there's no deal that would work on that property.
Not with what they've proposed. And that's the challenge. Here's a lot of folks say, why is this important to you? They've asked me that. I'm asked everywhere I go. And the issue is, it's the charter, stupid. No disrespect to anybody in the room or out there watching. It's the charter, stupid. If they would violate this section of the charter willfully, what other section of the charter would they be willing to violate? And I'm not willing to give that up. It's just a founding principle. And so the charter is very clear on this. It requires the fair 6 days a year. It allows them to lease the property for two purposes, education or amusement. It requires proceeds to go to benefit the fair. It requires all gate proceeds, ticket taxes, etc., be remitted to the fair board. This contract doesn't do with that. And specifically, that section of the charter states the leases of the property, quote, may not interfere with said fair, unquote.
And so how would one change the charter? If certainly things evolve. If 100 years from now we don't have fairs, I mean, we can't keep saying it's the charter. So how would one go about and change it if we want to evolve?
Great question, Ben. Here's the thing. I've worked with a group to help change the charter. In fact, Save Our Fairgrounds did that very thing. We changed the charter to protect this property. And there's a way to do that. But until such time as the charter has been changed, it is wrong of any elected official to violate that charter.
Even if they think it's a good idea. And I understand, no one is against soccer. It's the only sport I was ever any good at. When they start playing at the Titan Stadium, I'm going to buy tickets. I'm going to take my children to go see them play. I'm hoping that they'll play for the next 10, 15, or 20 years at the Titan Stadium because it was designed for soccer. It has locker rooms for soccer. It was built. We were promised, the people of Davidson County were promised when we had an NFL vote back in 1996 that if we got an MLS franchise, they would play there. Fulfill that promise. John Ingram wants to send a letter to calling out Mayor Cooper about promises. What about the promises made to the people in Davidson County in 1996? Play soccer there. And I'll tell you what, if they do fabulous and they go to the World Cup and it's just the end-all be-all team, then come back and say, build us a stadium. But don't run over us. Don't destroy the fairgrounds just because you want a shiny stadium on a hill, because that's all this is about. It's just about money. And the real question is, a fair takes a certain amount of space, and we have a historically smaller fairgrounds than a lot of other states. You go up in the Midwest and they have 500 acres. You go, a lot of places, we have 128 acres. Every acre matters. And so when you take 30 acres out of a 128 acre parcel, that's a huge loss. And they know it, and they don't care, because the purpose of this is to destroy the fairgrounds. By taking the parking from the flea markets, vendors won't come, participants won't come. You take it away from the expo center, no one will come want to do shows there, and no one will go to those shows. It's all about incrementally destroying the fairgrounds, and the best way to do that is to destroy the parking. And that's what they're doing. That's why they won't tell you where anything is.
So let's talk about what Save Our Fairgrounds is. You're the president, Duane, Dominy. You are an attorney for Save Our Fairgrounds. What is that group? Obviously, you're wanting to save the fairgrounds, but when did it start, and who pays for it? What is Save Our Fairgrounds?
Well, Save Our Fairgrounds is a 501c4 nonprofit. We are a group of folks, former elected officials, city activists, city residents, business owners that want to preserve our fairgrounds for its traditional and historic uses. And we came together as this group around 2011, having the council having passed, or the referendum having voted on the charter change, because we went through that process, because we saw elected officials identify that they were going to move forward against the will of the voters anyway. And so we knew we had to have an organization. We developed this organization. It was started before that vote under Save My Fairgrounds, which was an entity controlled by another attorney. And he didn't want to continue the fight, so he let that charter go away, and we created Save Our Fairgrounds. That's how it started, but officially our organization started around 2011, late in 2011.
And that's when there was a battle over the fairgrounds.
There had been a battle.
There was a big vote, right? There was a public vote.
There was. January 18th, 2011. The day they'll live in infamy. Just kidding. It was the largest public hearing in the history of this city took place at the council. And the effort to demolish the racetrack, the bill that was publicly stated, the intent to demolish the racetrack and to turn over the fairgrounds, was amended for our causes and passed against the wishes of the administration.
Which seems to have happened more than once. So that happened, and now I'm sure you were opposed to the soccer stadium vote. and yet that passed.
It passed.
So these things keep passing in the council despite, I guess, this opposition from you guys.
Well, I think that's a good reason why they didn't do a referendum. When NFL came to Tennessee in 1996, we had a voter referendum. People voted on it. They made a decision. They didn't have the courage to let the people vote on this referendum for MLS soccer. Their complaint was it would cost $50,000 or some minuscule amount of money. We're going to give away $30 to $40 million worth of real estate. We're going to destroy a 100-year fairgrounds facility, and we're going to do it because we're too cheap to spend $50,000 to find out what the people want.
The interesting thing about that night, they had a letter stating they could not spend $50,000 to put it on the ballot, but they voted to spend $275 million. The exact same night, they didn't have $50,000.
They don't want the people to find out. There's no support for this. All of the support from this is coming from a PR campaign and from, I hate to say it, money being spread around the Metro Council. It's easy to
What do you mean by money being spread around the Metro Council?
Well, it's no secret that a lot of financial support has gone to making this happen in the council. We're just a community group, and it's not just Save Our Fairgrounds. There's a lot of individuals that are part of this lawsuit. Persons in the community, neighbors, people who live in the area. This is a grassroots type of organization. We don't have billions of dollars, and we're regrettably probably never going to have billions of dollars. This is about preserving something. I mean, think about it. You look around Nashville, you think of the cranes everywhere, buildings everywhere. What's wrong with preserving something that has been a historic treasure for over 100 years? What is the rush to destroy the fairgrounds? A year ago, they were trying to destroy Fort Negley, and we stopped them on that. But there's plenty of infill. We don't have to destroy these things that we will never get back. Right. Understand, the lease on the stadium is 75 years. The lease on the mixed use is 99 years. My children's children will be dying of old age when that property comes back to Nashville.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have to take a break. We have to take a break. We'll open up the phone lines. James, Paul, David, we'll take your call when we come back. If you want to call in, there's a number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.